I think early on I looked, with ceramics, you can really look to back to the beginning, early pots, Etruscan ceramics, all those things were so beautiful and so simple in a lot of ways. And you know, with this work, you're kind of creating something. There's a lot of repetition in the work itself, but you're also repeating these forms that have been around for centuries and thousands of years, really. And so I think, and there's endless forms to kind of be inspired from. So I think that's where really things started for me. And then I really looked a lot to kind of the potters of the 20th century, especially the mid 20th century, who were also very inspired by Etruscan art, and but really were bringing these forms into kind of modernism and brutalism. So I always thought that was really interesting. But I also look a lot to architecture and design and nature. I think that's I feel very inspired by nature. As corny as that sounds, I think there's so much in the natural world that can trigger new ideas. So yeah, when I started out, working with clay was really just a hobby. I didn't see it turning into a business. It was really an opportunity to have this other experience creatively, separate from what I was doing at work. Involved my hands, and I felt a lot of freedom with the material, and it was exciting. In the beginning, I had no intention of selling my work. In fact, those first few, this is going to sound wild, but I was hoarding everything. The pieces were really, they were meant to be gifts for friends or family, and separating from these things was really hard. Obviously, a lot of potters will tell you this. You end up with so much in your house that you don't know what to do with, and so you end up starting to give things away or sell them as a necessity. I think my entry point was really this kind of passion for the process and the material itself, and I started to realize that really there was a response that I was seeing from people around me, and it was kind of like a realization that it was something that I both loved and was actually good at, and I think really turning it into a commercial pursuit was something that came later. When I think about the time span, it was quite short, but it was really kind of a discovery. One thing I'll add, and I think this is something I was thinking about, is that for a long time, being in the studio making things, that's where I really saw the passion, and the excitement was really in making the work. But as I've had to move away from the day-to-day making, I was afraid that I would be losing something. But actually, as it turns out, I'm just as passionate about building the business and being a founder, and building the team, and kind of giving, seeing kind of the breadth of what we can create. I work with really incredible, talented ceramic artists and collaborators, and so it feels like you know, I derive so much pleasure from that aspect of it, as I really did from those early days, you know, at the wheel making things just kind of by myself. So that feels like, you know, it's not something I necessarily expected to love as much as I do. You know, I think a big piece of advice that I received was to ask for help, you know, when I didn't know something, and not try and figure it out by myself, because there's certain things that I'm just not, I don't have that. I think I've always had really good instincts, even when I doubted them. And I'm grateful for that. But one of those instincts, you know, was to ask for help when I needed it. And I think that's like a big piece of advice that I can give to someone starting out. I mean, it's been a dream come true, obviously. It's something that, you know, I love having this. I love being able to create. I think, you know, originally there was a body of work, and then the space and the design of the space was very, inspired by a lot of the work that had already come before it. But then also the space itself, you know, inspired all this other new work. And so I think as a creative person, you know, is that okay? As a creative person, it's so interesting to see where inspiration comes, and what can spur great kind of moments of output and creativity. You know, I think this was a major creative output for me, and a really exciting time. We developed a lot of new work, and it's been very exciting to be able to share that work, you know, in a space that's, you know, it's not a ground level storefront, but it's very accessible to our clients and to people discovering the work for the first time. And that's been just very rewarding. Yeah, and I think a lot of clients, you know, have never, you know, seen some of these pieces in person. And that has been such a gift, to be able to actually have a place that they can come and bring their clients. And, you know, the majority of our clients are interior designers. And, you know, I think they're used to maybe, you know, they have a good sense of they have a good eye, and they know how to kind of translate something that they're seeing on a screen to what it would look like in a room. But now with this space, we're also giving them the opportunity to bring their clients through, and kind of discover the story behind the pieces and the entire universe that we're trying to create. So I think that that's been a real gift with it. There's all these things that I want to do, and some of them I'll get to do, and some of them I won't get to do. But you know, I'm still very, very excited to be making work and building this business. And so, yeah, that's. I guess that's sort of my answer. You know, I don't think it's really about kind of. I don't want to ever really hit that kind of finish line. I think there's just so much yeah, I don't know.